Well, I kind of wish somebody had told me that Norman Reedus was here. I missed that yesterday. I love that guy. I love The Walking Dead. Am I the only person left in the world that loves The Walking Dead? No. I'm disappointed. Hey, my name's Andrew Watt. I am involved in South by Southwest here. I'm involved in South by Southwest Sydney. But in another life, I've been a music journalist and I lecture in the business of music at Melbourne University. And it's really interesting to me lecturing in that subject at a university such as Melbourne University, where we have a lot of international students. What incredibly diverse perspectives even the students have on the global music industry. And I am fortunate enough to have a good number of students from the Middle Eastern region doing my subject at Melbourne University. And I can, from first hand, just talking to those students, sense that there is a great deal of excitement coming out of that market. And for that reason, I'm thrilled to be invited to talk to these two fabulous people today. I think it's a remarkable emerging market, but I think we'll discover today that it hasn't happened overnight. Maybe I'll get you guys to introduce yourselves initially about what it is that you do and a little bit of your background, and then I'll start throwing some questions at you.
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. I'm happy to be here. I'm Neda Al-Hilabi. I'm General Manager of Middle East Foundation, also Senior Director of Strategy in Middle East. So kind of the Middle East company started in 2019. We started as the first festival, or the biggest festival in the region. After that, we started to evolve into kind of different fields in the music industry. We have XP Music Futures, it's an annual conference. We have record label, which is headed by my colleague Matthew Dix. We have also different venues and also our radio. So,
thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Neda. Yeah, Matthew Dix. I've got a long-running history with the music industry, and going back to the first day I handed out flyers outside a club. I think that's my first job in the music industry. 1989, I think it was. I was 17.
Do the math.
Yeah, I joined Middle Beast during COVID time, actually, 2021. And I have to say it's the most exhilarating ride I've ever had in terms of work and pleasure, and working with artists, but also Neda, Ramadan, Talal, the team who set up Middle Beast and Soundstorm, and how we have diversified and grown into the beginnings, I say it's still very much the beginnings of a sustainable music industry in Saudi, but also having a huge impact on the entire region.
Okay, so Middle Beast 2019, we're now at 2025, so the first thing that strikes me is you've done a lot of stuff in 6 years. But if we were to have done this panel 10 years ago, 2015, how would the Saudi music scene, both musically and in terms of industry, look then compared to how it looks now?
I would say 10 years ago, we didn't have a music industry. I would say, or maybe it started kind of in early stages. We always had music. We always had listen to music through TV, but we never had venues where artists can perform. Very limited opportunities for local artists. There's no kind of organizations or policymakers that kind of support the industry. I would say we basically used to throw small kind of underground events, I would say, in our houses, and that's the way of our entertainment. But thankfully after that, and with the Vision 2030, we kind of now have a foundation to start. We kind of developed a foundation to start the industry.
I think it's also worth noting that Ratana, as a record label, existed there. I think it was about 10 years ago that there was an investment between Warner into Ratana and vice versa. So it's not, as Neda said, it's not like it didn't exist, but it was very much more on the traditional side. Artists that would appear on TV in big galas, but it's not to say that it didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive misnomer. People think that it wasn't there, but it was. And some very passionate musicians and very skilled musicians as well, and very an amazing diversity of music and sounds in the kingdom as well. It just wasn't put up there on an international platform.
I'm actually going to go off the script a little bit here because it is really interesting to me. I often think that in emerging markets for music, that the ones that started independent and underground are often the most exciting developing markets because it has that energy and it has that set of people that were driven by passion for music to do what they do. Are you seeing that in Saudi?
I think you can name some people who were there, particularly as Neda said, on the private parties, slightly
not entirely legal?
Not entirely legal in some cases. But you have some very much some leaders in that. And we're talking predominantly about dance music, electronic here, so it's DJ culture as well. So very easy to pick that up and run with it. And people have run with that. The independent scene, labels, promoters, is happening fast. But yeah, there's some people like Baloo, for example, who's our chief creative officer. Cut his teeth DJing in New York when he was studying there, brought it back, had a residency in Bahrain, so Saudis would cross over the bridge to go and see this Saudi DJ, whoever he was, playing in Bahrain. And then you have some other DJs that I'd really have to shine a light on, such as Mohammed Nasser or Vinyl Mode, a key figure in terms of, individuality of his DJ skills and his music production as well, and brings through the Arabic language in his in-house. He calls it Hijazi House. Mm-hmm. So very distinctive, very cool.
Neda, you have been very involved in a thing called XP Music Futures, and it seems to me, now that we're talking about the independent scene and the fact that there's a lot of young and emerging talent, whether they've studied overseas and come back home, with fresh ideas and things that they want to do. But education seems to be a passion of yours and also a really important part of the work that Middle Beast is doing. Is that a fair comment?
Yes. I was actually telling Hala the story yesterday about when I was a kid, 7 years old. I went to my mom and asked her I wanted to learn the piano. And at that time, there was no shops that sells piano. There are no teachers. Wow. And pretty much, I feel like I'm privileged now to give that kind of platform to others. And XP started in 2021. Actually, we started from the first year we did Soundstorm. We did a small activation in the festival. It had different small studios, we were testing if there is appetite for music education. And we realized after the first year, there are a lot of Saudi artists and there's a lot of passion, but there's no kind of platform that helps these artists. So for us as a company to grow, we need the scene to grow. We need the artists to grow as well. So we created XP. It's an annual event where we bring international speakers and regional speakers. having kind of conversations about the industry, really talking about the common, I would say, challenges in the music industry globally, and also developing, giving or providing workshops that are tailored to our regional artists. We do a lot of education, whether in the conference, and also we do throughout the year different programs. We have Artist Management Bootcamp, which is basically tailored for anyone who wants to become an artist managers. And there's a lot of these programs is kind of established from us listening to what our scene needs and our artists. We also have Hunna mentorship program. It's tailored to support and mentor women. And we kind of do it by, I would say, matchmaking, but from upcoming artists to established artists. And basically, I think what's really we're doing, I think we're doing really good amount, but we still feel like there's more need to this kind of education.
It's interesting when I do my class at the University of Melbourne that I have students from all different faculties enroll. You know, I have law students who are interested in, you know, copyright and things like that. I've got marketing students, but I also have a lot of artists from the Conservatorium of Music who are serious trained musicians. And it's always interesting to see which musicians are interested in learning about the business of music and which ones are purely about, man, I just want to play music. You know, let somebody else worry about the business. Are you finding that and I know it's not just Saudi as well, you travel around it, I'd like to talk to you about that too, but are you finding that the artists are hungry to know about the business of music?
What do you think, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I think more than ever, the regional artists are fiercely independent.
Yeah.
And they want to have their own destiny. As Neda was saying, we have programs at XP for artist management. Okay, now it's inadequate right now in terms of the number of managers out there. There's some they're not particularly pleasant characters. Okay, so we need to remove those. So the artists are very involved themselves. Mm-hmm. It's part of my team and myself, and is to educate as much as we are to, you know, sign a deal with an artist. We try to be as pragmatic yet functional with them in our approach. So we're not going in there saying exclusive, sign everything up. We want people, we want the artists to, are you aware of what you are signing your rights to? We're a 50-50 business. Mm-hmm. We bring to the event as much as they do. And we make that super clear to the talent and artists. And that's where we're trying to be slightly disruptive in that respect by putting the artist first and the talent first. You know, they are at the center. Without them, we wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have a sustainable model. So they're very much, every single artist questions. They're always, you know, we're educating, we're questioning them. Yes, they make mistakes, but we're there to try and support. Yes, it is hard work. Mm. It's extremely hard work because we're dealing with a market that hasn't got a great foundation. But, you know, with the Music Commission, I have to shine a light on the Music Commission because they're sitting in the front row. Okay, are also doing a phenomenal job in education as well. And I'm very excited to see where the impact of education of music in schools, certificate, qualification based, and where that's going to take us in 10 years' time.
Yep.
You know, I hope to still be around in 10 years' time, okay, and to see the fruits of that coming through, because we can go from what I feel, and I'm not being derogatory here, from probably C grade artists at the moment, great talent, great ideas, but not fully executed, to A grade talent that is going to be big on the international stage and fight on that stage, be represented on that stage and justified on that stage.
Yeah. No, before we move on from XP Music Futures, because I'm really very interested in that side of it, but it's a travelling roadshow for you, isn't it? It's not just Saudi.
Yeah, I think from the day we started XP, it wasn't around Saudi. We really wanted to connect the region together. And with XP, it became like this annual event where everyone from the region comes and network and catch up. We also do these exchanges where it's kind of a mobile workshop where we go to different cities in the region. I think we've been so far like 10 plus cities. And what we do, we usually go and really just go and listen and learn. Take all these inputs, really share it at the end, and then the XP, really connect the industry together. And it's amazing how, like, every city we go to, like, people meet for the first time. So we kind of come and try to be that accelerator of networking. And it's been a really, really learning curve that is beautiful. And we hope to continue and kind of visiting all the cities and seeing the opportunities. And at the end, like, we know, like, a lot of these cities have, I would say, common challenges, and we really what we try to do, even like try to work with them to come up with an action plan. So we've started doing this kind of model where we sit in the room and come up with solutions and try to share that solutions back to the community.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that idea of asking people what their problems are.
Yeah.
You know, and the music industry has got a lot of problems, you know, and if we can address those on a local, regional level, I think it's phenomenal what XP does and what NEDO has brought together in terms of the foundation of education as well, is giving, particularly I think with the Huna initiative as well. I happened to sit into one of those initiatives at XP this year, and I was like, it was so engaging.
That's about equality for women in the music area, is that correct?
How was your experience?
Well, I think it's just as everybody wanting to share their comments.
Yeah.
I felt quite left out from a male perspective because we wouldn't do that. Yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I'd like to be part of this, and I could, and I can.
Yeah, yeah.
But with a load of men sitting around together, doesn't happen, and it would not be as beautiful as it was there with sharing of ideas, people being honest, sharing their problems rather than the bravado that men tend to have.
Yeah, interesting.
It was really exciting.
A really nice perspective, actually. Never heard that. Maybe we should do one for men.
And friends.
All right, so we talked a little earlier about the phenomenal growth of Middle Beast. You know, it started as a festival. You were there at the beginning. You were telling us before you were thrown in the deep end. Everyone had to do everything because you had 2 months to organise a festival, which, by the way, in year one had 300,000 people show up. Seriously? How did you do that?
How did I do that? I think that's. I don't know. We can spend all day talking about this, but honestly, I think really passion. We really we were very excited to do something in our country. I usually travel for festivals all my life, just to attend festival or see some artists that I love perform internationally. And being having this festival home where you actually leave the festival and go and sleep in your bed, it was something incredible. And for us, it was a cultural movement. We knew that it's there's before Soundstorm, there's after Soundstorm. And we really Saudi you can spend years trying to change something, but you can do one festival and really accelerate that change and transformation. And a lot of it is, I would say, the soft power that comes after festivals, being more accepting, more open, more just inspired. And I think all these different elements that comes up from throwing a music festival, what really drove us and really made us very excited to do it. At the end, we're from Saudi and we wanted to do something back to our community.
Well, you certainly achieved that. There's no doubt about that. The festival happened. The festival was extraordinary in view of 2 months to plan the whole thing. But then the company started adding on all these other elements: a record label, publishing, management, a booking agency. Was that done out of necessity because there was nobody else to do it, or was that part of the grand plan all along, that you would add all these different arms?
I think there's a slide that has all of those arms on it. I think it wasn't there, Neda, and when you sat down in that COVID period and goes, what does Middle East look like? And then they were all there. It just happened to be that, well, we need to have these built, but, and Andrea said this to you earlier, it's the entrepreneurial nature that has born out of Soundstorm and XP, not just in terms of Middle East, but also across the entire region.
Yep.
It's that, yes, we launched now 5 record labels for different genres, a publishing company because it really wasn't there. And we had to do these things, and we operate at a global level. So if we'd have waited for the talent to develop, we would have always been catching up. So we launched these, we opened up these business verticals, and in some cases we worked with international artists initially. Okay, we set up international distribution deals with Believe, with The Orchard, with Empire as well, US-based business that is actually Arab-founded company, and which is very similarities to what we're trying to achieve. But we had to do it, but we want to encourage others to do it as well. So I'm regularly sharing a master license agreement with somebody who wants to set, or a publishing agreement. Look, have it.
Yeah.
Use it, copy it. Okay? You know, this is what you need. I'll provide that resource because we want those entrepreneurs to come about. I think there's a couple of examples of people who, I'm talking about Majid, for example, from Lim, banker by trade, performed at the first Soundstorm, attended first XP and was like, that's it, I'm in now. I'm giving up the banking, I'm giving up finance. I'm doing my own events, but the struggle is, how do you pay the bills? How do you keep going? And it's important to have this support structure in the kingdom or across the region, the network, the global network as well, of communities coming together that help these young entrepreneurs to go out there and do it themselves.
Yeah. What other companies around the world almost, I would say, inspired your model? I mean, you look at something like, I'm from Australia, a famous Australian independent music company, Mushroom Records, had exactly the same kind of approach when they started. It was a manager who couldn't find a label to release his artist records, so he started a record label. Then he started publishing. Then he, built all these other things on top of it. It seems to me that you're similar to that, maybe similar to Beggar's Group, and you mentioned Ministry of Sound earlier. Is that the kind of model that you're trying to build on the recorded side?
I think it's based off live first.
I think it's hybrid, I would say. Yeah. I think we really, maybe I think every region has a strength, and when we started The Beast, we kind of looked at the best practices. So you look at the US and UK when it comes to festivals, festival organization. You look at Asia when it comes to artist development, artist management, like the K-pop model, for example. And you look at South America when it comes to, authenticity and being very strong with their culture. So looking at these different models, I would say, around the world and having kind of, the best practices. And this is also the beauty of just starting now, is we're starting fresh, and it's been like 5-6 years, and and we have a lot of, learnings in the world that we can adopt and create our own model, I would say.
I think with the idea of the brand of Middle Beast, the live elements and the different pillars, live, venues, music, have all been an important part of giving an opportunity for talent to not just get signed, but that's not really going to buy them a cup of coffee. It's going to be the performance. It's going to be the idea that we built our venues and now our studios where they can come and collaborate. And I think the closest to it is, and there isn't a direct model that's been copied here, as Neda said, is pulling together pieces. But I guess because we've got quite a strong association to electronic music, but we also very much more Arabic, pop, indie, and hip-hop now as well. I guess there is a similarity to Ministry of Sound because of the brand, because of the ability of the brand to resonate with the community, the ability to start launching media, products, radio, there, and therefore there's possibly, and this has got, as we're already doing, is the step into the MENA region beyond Saudi as well, and the reputation, it goes ahead of us. So when we go into Egypt and we talk to artists, Egypt's 130 million people. Yeah. It's a huge market. We enter into that market and we talk to talent. We signed an artist called Too Late, who had phenomenal success. In one month we had in the MENA charts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. It's absolutely smashed it. Okay. And we were able to go in there because the Egyptian market were like, we see what you've done in your market in Saudi. We see the opportunity to perform, to collaborate, to work together. And it was a very easy step. And I think the step beyond that is now into North Africa as well.
Yeah. I was telling a colleague yesterday that I was doing this panel this morning. And the question they asked, and it wasn't, it was serious when they asked this question. They said, "Oh, do you think the Middle East is going to be the next K-pop?" Is that conceivable, or is it coming from a different angle to the K-pop phenomenon?
I think what's amazing about K-pop as also Latin music as well. It has a strong domestic market.
Yes,
that's super important. Okay. There are a couple of international artists like Saint Levant, Eliana, but they are internationally based Palestinian artists. Now, they don't have a domestic market. Okay, so there's a huge amount of investment has gone into these two artists from Universal Arabic Music. But because they don't have that strong home market to them, they're losing out on that bedrock.
Yep.
Yeah, and so yes, there is that opportunity there with Latin music and K-pop. You must have a sound domestic market or regional market. Okay, and then like those two, like the ability to export, and that we're working very hard with, is the diaspora market.
Yep.
Yeah, and the ability to export, not just the music, but also the tour, the events, and support artists. It's still got a long way to go. It's not quite as easy as the export of Afrobeat has been.
Yeah.
The Nigerian diaspora really kick-started that. So the opportunities there, yes. Okay, I think there's a lot more doors that need to be opened and hearts and minds that need to be opened to get there.
What's the government's role in this? That, is the Music Commission a partner in this, or are they, a different perspective, or, the interaction, I guess, between private enterprise and government? What's your view on that? It's a pretty broad question, I know, but.
Yes, I would say since day one we exist because of the support of the government. let's say after Vision 2030, where the government is giving a lot of attention to creative economy. This is where we had the opportunity to launch Middle Beast. And with that is when you host like a big festival, that kind of a temporary city within 3 days, you definitely need the support of the government when it comes to safety, security, when it comes to also artists, I would say, visas and all of these things. Really, it's like, I would say it's a prerequisite to have a successful event and successful also, I would say, business. And with the different kind of, I would say, pillars we have within the company, there's different interaction, I would say. For the foundation for XP, we work closely with the Music Commission because XP is it's a platform to accelerate the industry. And definitely they are our strategic partners when it comes to connecting with the Saudi, policy, with the Saudi initiatives, and just be, having their support is essential. And I guess different pillars.
Yeah, I think it's exciting opportunity. Again, the education side that the Music Commission are bringing through, the export of sounds and music, the Saudi National Orchestra has been an amazing achievement. I think such credible opportunities, I have to say. Well done to the Music Commission on those. The next big step is a PRO. That kind of puts us in the middle of those type of conversations as well. As a rights owner, but also as an events business, we did do some quite fairly disruptive tech in 2021, where we put we worked with a company called DJ Monitor, BMAT was another company we used, and we put a box on every single stage, so we ID'd 79% of the music that was played at Soundstorm across 3 days, across 9 stages. That meant that we paid, our license went straight to the publishing rights and the songwriters. We need to do more of those type of things. We need to use technology rather than going down the route of the old route, just because it suits a global market or it doesn't necessarily suit a new market. So it's interesting to see what happens next in terms of a collection society or a performance rights organization in a kingdom and in a region where it has something new to offer, and it should not do what the past has done before.
Yeah, I do happen to know there's a lot of interest in that around the world. A lot of people are visiting Saudi, wanting to try and build those relationships. So it's quite interesting. One thing we didn't sort of plan on talking about, but you look around South by Southwest this week, and obviously we have an incredible relationship between creativity and brands. We were having a chat this morning, and the venue that we were planning on having breakfast in was being taken over by a Meta activation, so they weren't serving breakfast. We eventually got breakfast, it's okay. But what was really interesting to me is, given that the Saudi and probably, most of the Middle Eastern music scene was kind of underground as recently as 10 years ago, have brands started to recognize the value of music in reaching young consumers now? Are you getting a lot of brand relationships starting to build?
Yes, we do. Especially, I would say, all the music brands, the streaming platforms, they all have interest. They are also the majors. They are our partners when it comes to XP. I would say the first year was a lot of us trying to kind of invite them and to come and see the industry, come meet the artists. And just after that, it's kind of became like more, the brands really wants to work with us. It's us now picking whose brand we want to work with versus not. So it's a really good place to be. Really, they see the opportunity in the region. They see the opportunity when it comes to developing the artist, and yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I think there's some really exciting opportunities. The live side of our business has given us the activation opportunities, obviously for some consumer brands as well, F&B brands particularly. Obviously, we can sell a lot of fizzy drinks over 3 days with 300,000 people, and across all of our events as well. And those relationships are now developing into talent-driven conversations as well. We've done some work with an energy drink recently to create a series of content, and worked on some music video placements as well. So the artist is getting where they're losing potentially from or not getting the level of streaming income that they think they're owed, because they don't necessarily understand. And I just going to make a point here is that the regional market is a $1 per 1,000 stream market.
Yeah.
Comparable to Europe, the US, where it's obviously more to $2.50, $3 market. Okay, so we're talking a heavily subsidized market. So really, the artists are coming through with brand deals, brand opportunities, subsidizing their and sync opportunities. We're getting a lot of sync coming through. We've just done one with Apple for an artist called Da Vinci, and that revenue from that is equal to what is seen in the last 18 months of master royalty income.
Wow, interesting. So are the reason brands like to be associated with music and artists is because, and I think we've all grown up knowing this, is that the relationship that artists have with their audience is perceived as very authentic. Is that the same thing that's now happening, that your artists are seen as, thought leaders, I guess, in their relationship with, their audience, their young audience in particular?
I think particularly when they are active and live on TikTok.
Okay, yeah.
It's when they have a strong engagement on TikTok and so Instagram and meta platforms, when they are creating content, where they're willing to give a little bit of themselves to their community through those platforms, as well as a medium to promote their music. Yeah, those artists are really benefiting. There's an artist particularly called Zayn. She's doing very well in that area. Very traditional in her approach. She represents her region and her market, and is a voice for other women and young people who aspire to be like her. And then that's the key part here. And brands are obviously then attracted to that as well, because their voice is genuine.
Let's just go back to the festival for a minute. We were talking before about some of the artists that are headlining the festival now. Metallica, Eminem, Linkin Park, etc. Are you finding that it's a lot easier now to attract those sort of names to come to Soundstorm?
I would say easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Like I would say it's different conversation that we're having now than when we started. There was a lot of convincing, a lot of trying to educate the artists on who we are and why we do what we do. Now, actually, you see a lot of the artists are interested to be part of that growth, part of that development. All of the artists who come once, they never come once. They want to come more and come again. And it's been, when they perform in our stages, there is a really special, I would say, energy in Saudi. And I remember, I think was it David Guetta who said, raving in Saudi reminds him when rave started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That energy, that hype, that kind of, very pure, really people are like full of joy and happy. And when the artists come and witness that and experience that, they really feel they are part of something big. So yes, they are kind of interested now. I think and there's a lot of also like the big headliners, I would say. We also book different kind of, I would say, sounds because we don't do the festival for entertainment only. We also educate when it comes to sounds. So we have different sounds. We try to push, kind of inspire these attendees to listen to new music, meet new artists. And interesting enough that we found the artists who perform in Soundstorm, they actually have a peak when it comes to their streaming post Soundstorm. And this shows like the kind of how the audience is engaged and how the audience is really open to listen to these artists.
I think from a touring perspective, it's very viable now to come into Cairo, to do an event in Jeddah or Riyadh. There's Abu Dhabi and Dubai as well. So, you know, there's at least three dates in a period. Initially, everyone was trying to get some form of exclusivity, but you know there isn't a huge transfer of people. People aren't going from Dubai to Riyadh, so you can do a Riyadh and a Dubai gig, okay, and sell strong ticket sales. Whether that is a dedicated period in the region or you're passing on to go into Asia or Australasia, as part of a world tour. But now we have facilities in the kingdom as well, studios, as Neda was saying. We're trying to change the palette and the taste of regional artists as well, to collaborate and learn from visiting artists who are coming through as well. And I think Riyadh Music Week is a really strong offering to the world. Start with XP, finish with Soundstorm, and have the Music Commission's event in between, and Billboard Arabia's awards in between as well. It's people want to stay. It's a very warm, welcoming environment and place to be. So people do want to stay. They're looked after.
I wrote a book once about the Australian music industry, and I interviewed a lot of people. And one of the most powerful statements in that book, I thought, was from a guy called Michael Koppel, who was a major Australian concert promoter who went on to become the head of Live Nation in that region. And the importance of festivals and live experiences can't be overlooked from an education and an entrepreneur perspective, because what Michael said that always stayed with me was, you'll have 10,000 people at a festival, 9,950 of them will be there because they want to see their friends, they want to hear the music, and then they go home and say that was a great day. There'll be 50 kids there who go, how does this happen? Who makes this happen? How did the artist come to get here? How did they manage to market this so that me and 9,950 other people came to be here? And it's those 50 kids who are inspired to go, how does the business of music work? And I think, that is always going to be something that, so long as you have Soundstorm to have those kids who go, I want to be a part of this. I think you'll always have that funnel of people wanting to get into music in your territory. Is that something that you're very conscious of?
I think the beauty about the music industry, if you have any background, any specialty, you can get in the industry. You need finance, you need accountings, you need all the different kind of, I would say, backgrounds. So this is beautiful, as long as you really love music and you're passionate about it. And we see that, like every day, like I would have conversation with some individuals who they love music and they feel it's they always say, how can I get in music? How can I work in the company? And it's what I say, basically, any specialty you can work in, and really gives us, I would say, opportunity. And as you said, like, give those curious individuals to a space to come and contribute.
It's a very educated country, very, very well educated country. I think that transferable skills are there. We've brought people over from, finance, from anywhere where there's a operations background. You know, people who can plan, people who can but execute, but also people who understand the very, very stressful situation that you can be put under. And it's not for everybody. But that's the music industry, right?
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
All right. Last question before we see if anyone out there wants to ask you anything in particular. But okay, I said if we'd had this panel 10 years ago in 2015, what would the Saudi and Middle Eastern music industry have looked like? Let's flip that. We'll all come back. You're definitely young enough to come back. You and I, maybe, we'll see. We'll come back in 10 years. And what do you think the Saudi music industry and the Middle Eastern music industry is going to look like in 2035?
Well, it'll be a year after Saudi hosts the Football World Cup.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
So that's 2034. So I think that'll have a huge impact on things. By then, I forecast at least 3 artists that have gone on global. Yeah, and it'll be accepted. The Arabic language will be accepted as much as Korean or Brazilian or Portuguese, should I say, in Spanish language, you know. And if you listen to, particularly, I'm a big advocate for Arabic hip hop, the language and the flow and the poetic nature of it, I think that's, and I think that works very well with hip hop artists around the world who want to collaborate. So I'll put my bus pass on that and say that I think there's going to be a crossover of hip hop, Arabic hip hop globally.
Nita, you'll probably be a keynote speaker at South by that stage. But what do you see things happening?
I would say more international festivals. Definitely might have another soundstorm outside of Saudi. As Matt said, more Saudi artists performing in global stages, really exporting a lot of artists. I think one of the things that I think will happen, and it's happening already. And having more, I would say, more venues, more spaces, more kind of a really established industry. I feel like in 10 years, we want to sit and talk how really, how the economy is strong because of music, and how the number of artists maybe around South by Southwest that are from Saudi and from the region. This is also, that would be a goal.
And that would be wonderful. I can see that happening. I genuinely can. I think it's an incredibly exciting time, and thank you very much for sharing so much insightful knowledge. Has anyone, there's a microphone over there, if anyone would like to ask a question, I'm sure we'd be very happy to receive that. Please do.
Okay, hi. Why did I do that? Thank you so much for speaking. I really learned a lot, so thank you for being here on this panel today. My name is Rowan, and I am a Lebanese independent artist. And everything you're doing, Nada, is incredible for Saudi, and you as well, Matthew. It's truly, truly incredible. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous when I speak. But I wanted to ask, how exactly can me, as a Lebanese independent artist, how can I help, or how can I be part of something great like this? Really, sorry for the broad general.
And thank you very much, Rowan. I think most of our team have been influenced in some way via Lebanon. Yeah, whether they're Lebanese themselves, or they have time spent in Lebanon. Okay, I think there's a lot of love for the music industry from Beirut. Okay, from whether it's club culture or whether it's artists themselves. I mean, it goes back decades, right? So I think for anybody who is an independent artist from Lebanon now, consider yourself a welcome in Saudi to come and participate, to collaborate, to ensure that the Arabic language is spoken, sung, it's there, it's present, you know. Yeah, I think it needs to have, its voice needs to be heard. So anything you can do to collaborate and feature and nurture and support, you know, doors open as far as we're concerned.
Okay.
Yeah, come and perform and connect, and yeah, be part of our programs, and yeah, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. And Nada as well, if you guys are available, Nada and Matthew, and of course you as well, if you guys are available, we have an official show at South by on Saturday. So if you want to come see some Arabic R&B pop with horns, if you like horns, please, you are more than welcome to join and check
Tell
it out.
us the venue and the time.
The Lefties on 6th Street at 8 p.m. Okay?
Thank
Everyone, we'll see you there on Saturday night. Any other questions, please? Yep, the microphone, if you could. Thank you.
My name is Alain. Nice to meet you all. Obviously, you've been very good at building an infrastructure in the Middle East. You mentioned something about a PRO, because obviously, like, publishing is launching in Saudi. What are the main challenges that we're facing as a region to have a PRO there, and how soon can we expect one?
I'm going to have to ask somebody else to answer that question. To be truthful, I'm as supportive as we possibly can be for the establishing of a PRO. Let's not forget that publishing is not just about performance rights. You know, it doesn't require us to have for Saudi. The rest of the world is as important. By the nature of our music, it gets released on global DSPs. So, you know, there's money in those hills that we need to be claiming on behalf of our songwriters. You know, we need that. But in terms of Saudi, okay, we are as supportive as we possibly can be. As I said, we have put in place a test drive back in 2021. I'm very aware, and we want to use technology as a way to drive that forward and be as transparent as possible. And I think that's where the failure is in the publishing and performance rights society now, is the lack of transparency. So all I would say is, from us as a rights owner and events, you know, I'd say we're kind of poacher and gamekeeper, if you want to put it that way. We want to be a part of it. We want to see its success. We want to see it grow, but we want to see it done in a tech-first, innovative, transparent way.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Another question from down the front.
Hi, thanks. On the PRO subject, I say it's not just publishing rights. Obviously, we're very keen to establish neighbouring rights as well in Saudi Arabia and all of the other aspects of IP that can be collectively managed. My question for you both is, I love hearing the story of Middle East. I love hearing how big the vision is, how all-encompassing it is, and how many sort of people there are supporting that growth. What's missing? What do you both, it's a question to both of you really, what do you wish you had that you don't have? What's missing?
I wish we had time. Okay? I wish we were not in a hurry sometimes. Yeah? I wish we had but we don't have time. Okay? We have major record labels coming into the market, okay? Whether they're buying up infrastructure or they're offering, in economic terms, they're basically dumping the market. They're giving crazy deals to artists in order to get exclusivity and block people out, okay? We need to have a cooperative approach, not just in Saudi, but across the entire region, of independence, to build up strength, to build up responsibility, to build up communication, to compete with and be at the same table as the major record labels. You know, I take a lot of, I see Merlin as a business as being something that we have an opportunity to create in the MENA region from rights holders' perspective, okay? We need to have that, but time is not on our side because of what's happening, what's coming in. You know, you read stories about, oh, it's 32% year-on-year increase in, you know, which is a little bit of a misnomer, really, because, you know, it came from a streaming perspective quite low, okay, but not from a, you know, the music industry was there, but streaming was quite low. So everyone is looking at the market. It was great at XP this year because so many internationals were coming in, okay? And I tried my very best to meet every single one of them, say, what are you doing? What do you want? Why are you here? To understand what they were trying to achieve. Firstly, how we could collaborate, but also to understand what they think is happening in the market as well. So
I was actually going to ask whether the independent labels in the region are Merlin members.
No, they're not. No.
Interesting.
For me, bigger budgets. I would love to have I would love to have a bigger budget to develop more initiatives. I think we spoke about this also 2 days ago when we're talking about not enough venues we have. Also the, I would say, the logistics and the equipment, and this is one of the gaps I feel we could also solve or help or kind of also develop, which is we need more, I would say, technology, music technology. We need more suppliers. We need more of speakers. All of these kind of, I would say, that supports the venue or supports the festival. We need it in Saudi.
Yeah, we need the young people to have access to more equipment as well, you know, whether that's instruments or even computer-based technology, you know, computer music production. And I do think that the low-hanging fruit for anybody entering into the market is DJing. You know, it's very, very easy. It gives you the basis of beat formation and structure of music. And that's need more equipment, you know, still. That comes when you talk to people like Pioneer, for example, like, well, there's not enough venues buying equipment in the region, therefore we can't justify supporting retailers, etc. So yeah, more music equipment accessible through retail.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? We've had this, you know, very wide-ranging conversation, and with, you know, as we draw to a close, we've come back to the same place that it always comes back to: the ability for artists to make music. It's important. Unless there's further question.
So, especially in the European market, there are a lot of alliances, initiatives to put forward collaboration and exploitation, actually. When do you see like these coming in the MENA region and the region, not only in Saudi, but in the region itself, to forward the exploitation?
Are you referring to governmental initiatives?
Both governmental initiatives and also closed networks, for example, the closed network booking networks in Eurosonic and such festivals.
Yeah, no, and then that's definitely got to happen. I think we do. I think XP has been a great platform to invite promoters from particularly around Europe as well. Exit Festival, we're at XP this year as well. So there's a lot of exchanges. We've done artist program exchanges with festivals, with Tomorrowland, Ultra, Exit Festival as well. We've had their DJs coming in, and it's happening on a club level as well. But that's really on the electronic music side. What we need to do more of is those collaborations with musicians and songwriters. And now we have more facilities, venues, regular opportunities for artists to come in. It's starting to happen. We've hosted 4 songwriting camps in the last 6 months out of our Riyadh studios, and that's been so exciting. It's been so exciting to see the enthusiasm and the hard work the producer, the songwriters, and the artists and the musicians all coming together. It's been really heartwarming to see that. Very passionate about doing more of those type of things. But yeah, it's starting to come through.
A bit of the question is actually more like how can we expand the national, not the regional connectiveness actually, like not to the outside market, not to the US market, not to the European market, but the interconnectivity of the market itself in the region.
Yeah, I think it's just...
Sorry, I feel like I'm at the Oscars, but we have 8 seconds left to go. So I think we'd love to continue this conversation after the panel, but we are down to 0 seconds, and I'd like to thank everyone for participating. If there was further questions, we're quite happy to stay around and have a chat. But thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.